Oh, yes, sir. I knew Charlie Rutherford. Captain Rutherford, I guess I should say. We went overseas together in 1916. 1916. Seems like 100 years ago. You know, Charlie had gone over there the year before to visit his wounded cousin in Scotland, I think it was. And I guess to check things out before he enlisted. I always wondered what it was he saw that convinced him it was a good idea. Seemed like the right thing to him, I guess. Well, to a lot of us. So, there we were, in France, after 3.5 months of training. Could have trained for a lifetime and not be ready for the trenches once you got there. Well, we were posted first at Ypres, Wipers, we called it then, because we didn't know any better. It stayed a hot spot for the whole war. But we weren't there all that long. By June 1916, we were marching south towards the Somme. Yeah, the Somme. Well, Charlie got his arm shot up pretty bad at the battle for the Regina Trench. That was a German trench, nothing to do with the green fields of Saskatchewan. Yeah. It was quite a while before he could rejoin our unit. I think it was April 1917. He was finally back with us, and we were headed for the Battle of Vimy Ridge. Well, he got through that one okay, but a little later in June, he was hit again near a little village called Avion, I think it was. He was back with us pretty fast that time, August. And then we were marching up north to Passchendaele, near Ypres, where we started out. Passchendaele, I always thought that was a beautiful word. Well, not anymore. Sounds grand, doesn't it? Passchendaele. I guess if knee-deep mud is grand, then it was a grand place. But Charlie won the military medal for that day's action, and our commanding officer, Major Perks, he won the Victoria Cross. It was a big day for our outfit. Charlie was a sergeant by then. Good one. No nonsense, but fair. And after that battle, he was sent to England for officer training. When he came back, he was Lieutenant Charles Rutherford. Well, we all survived for another while. Well, I shouldn't say we all survived. But those of us who did, we survived that, including the big German push in the first few months of 1918. And when they didn't get the big breakthrough they were hoping for, when they stalled and couldn't go any further, we started to push back, and we got them moving. The last 100 days, the historians call it now, we thought it was going to go on forever. We were just happy enough to be up and out of the trenches and moving. We got the Germans moving too. There was still plenty of heavy fighting, don't get me wrong. But we advanced and we kept moving. You know, a lot of people don't know this, but General Haig relied on the Canadians to do the toughest fighting. We were the storm troopers of the British Expeditionary Force. They're a bunch of fine soldiers, and none finer than Lieutenant Charles Rutherford. Charlie got his military cross on August 8, 1918. We'd been given a pretty ambitious objective on our day's assault. And by early in the day, we had already taken a German division paymaster headquarters. And they knew we were coming, so they'd cleared out what they could. But what was waiting for us when we got there was a crate of pigeons, a lot of cash. It was Deutschmarks, but still. And about 300 unused machine guns. It was a hell of a haul. But we kept on going, and we made our day's stated objective, the village of Bangor, by the end of the day. And there were a lot of units that did not make their stated objective, let me tell you. Lieutenant Rutherford was in charge the whole time. He knew what was going on. He kept us focused and on track. And then, 18 days later, the big one. The one you see pictured here behind me. Monchy, France. Charlie was way out in front of the rest of us in our assault party, except that he thought we were way out in front of him. So when he moved ahead and saw a group of soldiers ahead of him, he thought it was us. He got a little closer before he realized his mistake, but too late. He had been seen. So he moved up a little further, saw a German pillbox, bustling soldiers outside, German soldiers. So he motioned with his pistol for them to come to him. Well, the German officer did the same. I'm damned if Charlie didn't come right up to him and inform him, "You men are my prisoners." Well, the German officer didn't see it quite that way. He invited Charlie into the pillbox to talk it over. Charlie declined that invitation, politely, I'm sure. Somehow, nobody is quite sure how, by masterly bluff, now those were the words used in the official dispatches, by masterly bluff, he convinced them that they were completely surrounded and outgunned by the Canadians. Well, they considered it, and in a moment, 3 German officers, 43 men, and 3 machine guns surrendered to Lieutenant Rutherford by himself. Charlie even got him to order the stoppage of firing from the neighboring pillbox. Then it was crunch time. Put his helmet on the end of his rifle, raised it up in the air. That was our signal for us to join him, if we were there. We were there. We came out, joined the party, and near fell on the ground when we learned how it had all happened. It was something else. And now we're at strength. So we moved on and took the neighboring pillbox over. Took that too, more prisoners, more machine guns. The advance could continue, but our unit had ourselves a new Victoria Cross winner in our young lieutenant. I heard that Charlie was in London when he learned of the medal from Major Perks, appropriately enough. My bet is that he didn't have much to say. He rarely did. Anyway, we thought it would go on forever, but it finally ended. And Charlie, unlike a great many others, was able to just come back to Colborne and pick up his life. He married Helen Haig. They had 4 kids. He was made Sergeant at Arms at the Ontario Legislature. Rumor has it, he was the first sergeant to eject a member of the legislature from the building. I bet he did it politely. And it was 1939, and Charlie joined up right away for the Veterans Guard. And he was promoted to captain immediately. They were always hush-hush about where people were being sent, but I know that Charlie was up north guarding the POW camps in northern Ontario. And I also know that he was sent to the Bahamas to guard the Duke and Duchess of Windsor. The less said about them, the better. Well, when that one was over, he came back home again, became postmaster here in Colborne. He owned a general store in Keswick for a while, but he eventually returned to Colborne. This Legion Branch 187 is named for Charlie Rutherford, and rightly so. He was a good citizen for his whole 97 years. He was a first-rate soldier, not a bit stuck up about all his honors. You know, he was at a royal function once. They had these reunions of VC winners in London. He was presented to Prince Charles, and his conversational gambit was, "How's your mother?" Imagine. That was Charlie. That was Charlie. Much later, when he was a very old man, each November, he would take the official salute from the Remembrance Day parade. No matter how cold and blustery it was, he would stand up tall, leave his overcoat behind him on his wheelchair, which he needed to get around. His blue blazer just bristling with medals. Everybody else shivering in their mufflers and overcoats. He would take that official salute, but he never took it for granted. He took it as an honor to be asked. And that was Charlie too.